Um, it's funny, but I didn't really, I didn't know how I was going to kind of embody this character based on the animation. The character in the animation is introspective, but she's also quite cold. And it took a while for me to wrap my head around the unique experience that this character was having. She is brave, and she is vulnerable, and she is brave because she allows herself to be vulnerable, and she's curious about herself. And I think being able to play a character that's curious about themselves and then goes on a quest to find, answers about their own identity and their own existence it's very powerful. The physicality of the character is really important. I kind of imagined where, as a person might, you want to sit in a chair or walk across a room, you don't really think about the neurological connect that happens to make that happen, right? It's just seamless. But I imagined with her that, because this body is something that her brain is constantly fighting, and vice versa, that there's almost this kind of space that exists between her mind telling her body to do something, and I kind of existed in this space in between, and that's how I started to build the character physically and imagine that everything that she did was totally intentional, and that was really informative. I was not, never seen the original animation. I had never read the manga series. I just hadn't grown up with it, although I knew the title of the property. So when it came to me, at the time I had my daughter was like 2 months old, and I was so not having the experience of this film. Like, this film was like, it's like I said, it's introspective, but it's also violent and and again, cold, and I was having the very human experience in my life, the one that grounds everybody. The original animation is very haunting, and I was curious about it, and I'm curious how I was going to breathe life into this character and create a character-driven story based, that existed in this world, this, kind of extraordinary world. And but once we were on the path of, once we'd committed to making this live action film, I never really used the source material after that, because we were creating something separate of it. And it was important for me to be completely focused on what we were doing and not distracted in any way. For me, this is really a coming-of-age story. And, of course, the environment is outrageous, and there's a lot of interesting, points that come up regarding people, technology, what we are willing to sacrifice in order to, advance the species, our own experience, etc. But, it was really, it was interesting to me to play somebody who, is curious about themselves, and goes on this quest of identity based on a calling, an instinct. I think that's interesting. It's we must remain curious about ourselves, and that's how we really improve, I think. It was an adventure, that's for sure. It was a real adventure. It was incredibly difficult. emotionally exhausting, physically demanding. I had a young baby at the time. I was still nursing even. So I felt a great sense of accomplishment when this film production wrapped. I really did. I was like, all right, I did it. I got a little kid, a baby, doing all this work, and it was hard, but it was good. It was good work, and that's what it's all about. Well, I did a regular training, of course, which I do in my life, and that just kind of I just upped it to the next level, which was fun. And then I did a lot of tactical training, which I've done a lot of weapons handling and stuff like that, but I really major as a tactical operative. And so moving in a group with a strategic way, room clearing, taking a weapon apart, putting it back together, like just all this stuff that, should kind of be seamless for the major. I focused a lot on that, and it's been a great deal of time with a lot of amazing operatives that just are incredible with their weapons and like so precise. And then I did, a lot of fight choreography, wire work. Yeah, it was a lot. Takes a couple of weeks, I think, for everybody to kind of figure out like who's running what and where, like what is this world? What are the rules of this world that we're creating? But then I think it helped that we were shooting in a very kind of isolated place, in a very, in a controlled environment. It really helps. It helped us, I think, in really creating a whole world that was not at all distracted by anything outside. Well, it was a whole experience watching it, just because I was so like focused and there was so much work to do at any given time. I had so little time I had like no time to myself that it was hard to have any perspective exactly on what we were doing, And of course, Rupert had his whole idea of what the finished product was gonna be in his mind, and he's great. He does a lot of drawings, and he helps you, totally visualize things. He's very descriptive, and he's awesome that way. And he has an incredible visual vocabulary, but seeing it was awesome. I was really, like, I kind of went with the story. I loved it. The visuals are, I've never seen anything like it.
Words like violence break the silence.
I don't know who to trust.
You trust me, right?
I know I have a past. I'll find out who I was.